Well, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the webinar today put on by eGolf Waiver and Scott Massey and myself, James Cronk from Guru Collective, to talk to you about the exciting and unbelievable topic of the importance of waivers. And, Scott, I was thinking about today's webinar and about what we're going to talk about. And I was reminded about one of my very first jobs when I was a manager was overseeing a facility that was in a residential community. And we had lots of golfers that were playing all the time, but we also had homeowners. And I remember I was like my second year as the general manager of this 9-hole golf course. And I heard about an incident from our insurance company that called us up and said, well, this lady is suing us for not putting salt down on the pathway because remember that? And she was walking. And so when I found out more of the details, she tripped over the no trespassing sign. So we had a golf cart pathway, and then you had the boulders beside, and then the little chain, right, that said the golf course is closed for winter. And she was out, walking through, going for a walk, of course, in the golf course in a beautiful, crisp morning, tripped over the no trespassing sign, broke her ankle or whatever happened to her leg, and then, of course, successfully sued us for not putting ice down, of course. And man, back in those days, I wasn't even aware about waivers, let alone where things are at today. But ladies and gentlemen, if you've joined our call today, it's very likely that you are familiar with the importance of what's going on in this day and age with protecting your club and your facility. And Scott, you and I have had 30 years in the golf club business, whether as managers or consultants, and now with the businesses that we have, and we've seen it all, right? I mean, I think that's what I would say to everybody is that if you're in the business long enough, you will see it all. We've got a wonderful guest today, Tom Doolin from Morgan Creek, who's going to share some stories with us as well. But Scott, obviously, people who are on the webinar today are interested in protecting their facility.
Yeah, exactly. The operation does have inherent risks associated with it, right? There's things that can happen out on the golf course, and certainly, there's facilities that we've come across that are getting a waiver signed, and sometimes it's a paper waiver, and that has some challenges with it. Not only getting the guest to sign it, but also filing the way and being able to find them 18 months later when your insurance broker calls and says, hey, we've got a claim coming in here, and we need a copy of that waiver. So obviously we believe that a waiver is an important risk management tool that all clubs should be using, and certainly using some technology like eGolf Waiver can make it easier for your team members to get those waivers signed, and for your members and guests to sign them. But as your next slide alludes to, the reality is that most are doing nothing. So that's really what we wanted to talk about today, was just the importance of waivers. And Tom's got some great examples of why they're using them and how they're protecting the business. But it's definitely an important tool that we're looking to share the benefits of with the industry for sure.
Yeah, and this is an informational 30-minute webinar. We want to talk about what's out there, what waivers are happening. And look, I put up your virtual hand here. Some of you are possibly currently doing a digital waiver. There's smart waiver. There's other methods other than just eGolf Waiver on a way to collect digital waivers to make it simple and make it easy. Obviously, I mean, I was just in Palm Springs last week, and every property had me scribble on the bottom of a piece of paper that had a card number attached to it that, like you said, is a piece of paper that's going to go in a banker's box and go in the closet, and hopefully someone's going to be able to determine what my ineligible signature says if something were to happen. But a lot of facilities are not doing waivers. And the golf industry seems to always just be a little bit slow to adapt, a little bit slow to what's going on. And not to say for a second that a waiver is a silver bullet. Look, if there's negligence at a facility, if you've got a golf cart with no brakes and someone drives into the pond, the reality is that a waiver is not going to completely absolve you of any responsibility. But it is certainly, going to help when we have these cases that happen where you can go to your uncle who's a lawyer and say, hey, I tripped on a gopher hole and my knee's not any better. And the lawyer will, uncle will say, well, let's go sue the golf course and everybody else we possibly can. And the first question they'll ask is, did you sign a waiver? And if the answer is no, then they might just kind of take it on, knowing that they're not going to maybe get to in front of a judge, but there'll be some settlement at some point in time. And, Scott and I have been in this safety business for the last couple of years now. And we've had lots of conversations with insurance companies and with lawyers. And I've sat in sessions at conferences where they're talking about how to protect your facility. And waivers is one of those things that they're strongly recommending. And so, why is a waiver important? As we said, it reduces liability for frivolous claims. It allows you in an organized fashion to hopefully recover some costs if there's damage to a golf cart or to a rental club. And most importantly, is that, it makes your insurance company happy. We've never had a client that their insurance company didn't embrace the idea that they were going to implement waivers and implement some kind of a process that is going to, once again, potentially reduce claims. And obviously, as we all know, with the rising cost of insurance, that's something that's important. When you go outside the golf world, obviously, Scott, you've got a couple young kids. I'm sure you've signed some waivers lately.
Yeah, as we alluded to, their birthday parties. We were at a birthday party for one of Charlie's cousins, 4-year-old kids. We're going to an indoor play gym, and we're all signing waivers, before we enter the building. So, as you've alluded to, James, in the past with your kids' field trips, there's so many activities that, there's risks associated with, and the operator's responsibility is to inform us as the customer, what those risks that are associated with the activity are, and a waiver is the legal mechanism to educate your customers about the dangers of the activity they're about to partake in. So yeah, waivers are a big part of our world in other things that we do outside of golf, and the reality is that they should be a part of what we're doing to protect our business at the club as well.
Yeah, 100%. And as everyone knows, you can't rent a car without signing your life away. And here we are giving someone a $12,000 machine with no doors and setting him out onto a field where there's water and sand and hidden obstacles, and then let's let them drink a little bit, and then we're wonder why there's things that happen. And as we all know, it's like insurance, right? You never need it till you need it. And if there's one thing that I've learned long enough is that we have a job to protect our assets, to protect our ownership, to protect our club, and the more we can do, the better. And I want to just talk. My favorite story that I talk about, and Scott and I talk about, is sometimes people think about implied consent. When you go to a golf cart and there's a screen that comes up on the GPS and it says, by clicking OK, you assume responsibility. That in the legal world, ladies and gentlemen, is much different than a digital signed waiver. And I'll give you an example. We've got a property in the United States that has our platform, and on average, they've got 4 courses, so 260 golf carts. On average, they would have about $60,000 of damage to their golf carts and rental clubs that they couldn't collect on. And after 1 year of implementing our digital waiver platform, they reduced that down to 5,000 or 6,000. And I said to the owner, Barry, I said, Barry, like, what was it because the platform allows you to track exactly who's doing what and, you know, what damage happened when? And he said, you know, it's partly it, but really what it does is it changed people's behavior. And so when they have signed away, just like for me, when I've signed a rental car contract, I am driving very carefully out of that parking lot, I can assure you, and trying to make sure that I've got all the light credit card insurance and everything else I need to protect myself, because it changes people's behavior. And this club actually had an incident and went to court and had their digital waiver protect them in that legalese kind of scenario. So there's some value and benefits to that. Obviously, if you're using paper waivers, we know the challenges of the fact they can be difficult to find and hard to track, and not always get every golfer. And sometimes people will claim that's not my signature, and you know, as opposed to attaching specifically digitally timestamp. Once again, someone's been at the counter, matching to when they got the cart, matching to their tee time, matching to the incident, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll just want to go through real quick a little bit about some best practices that's going on. And then I want to bring Tom in, Scott, so we can talk about his experience. But, you know, obviously we have a solution called eGolf Waiver that comes out of Australia, a wonderful team down there, Luke and Phil, that developed this platform with hundreds of facilities using it. And Scott and I have been fortunate enough to bring it to North America starting last year. And we've been able to see it in action over the course of a season. And we're not going to go through all the details today. We'd love to, if anybody wants a demo after today's call, we'd love to set up a meeting and have a little 30-minute demo and walk you through how the platform works. But, you know, basically speaking, whether it's our digital platform or any other digital platform, there's some things that you want to find, right? And so obviously a cloud-based Android tablet that's easy to, whether it's put at the golf shop counter, whether it's put on the first tee, you know, it's not our waiver, it's your own waiver document that's created by your insurance company and your legal people that have got the waiver. You know, it fits into, once again, wherever you do things, whether it's at the golf shop, whether it's at the first tee, whether you're handing out cart keys by the cart barn, wherever you are operating right now, the tablet model with our digital waiver can fit with that. You know, the benefit, of course, is that we don't believe it's just for people driving a golf cart. You're going to hear a real story about that shortly, so we'll leave that for later. But really, every golfer should sign a golf cart. And then if you're a Lightspeed client or even 4UP or Club Profit, we integrate with tee sheets. So, for example, with Lightspeed, when someone makes a tee time, they automatically get emailed the waiver to fill out in advance, so that when they show up on the day of play, it literally shows on the POS system on the tee sheet, Mr. and Mrs. Smith have signed the waiver in advance, and Mr. and Mrs. Jones haven't signed the waiver. And then there's a whole golf cart damage reporting tool with well, a whole bunch of other things. So, Scott, before we bring Tom in, we're right on schedule. Was there anything that I kind of, you know, maybe went a little too quick on there that, you know, just when we talk about what's the best practice of a digital waiver?
Well, I think, you know, James, I think you did a really good job of just, you know, touching on all the reasons why it's important. You know, obviously those real significant incidents that can happen, you know, the 1 in 10 year incident, you know, certainly the waiver is going to protect you in the legal world on that front. But, you know, that previous slide there with the golf cart damage, you know, that's certainly something that, you know, you can really use day in and day out at your club, in your operation, you know, using it as a tool to hold golfers accountable if you need to for those, you know, those little damages like the $400 windshield here and the $300 repair to the scuff bumper. You know, the tool really, you know, provides a lot of benefit on that front day in and day out as well. Yeah.
And if we didn't mention it, you know, the platform works for members that you want to do a waiver once a year. It can work for daily fee. It can work for tournaments, in advance. I mean, there's a variety of different ways to get the waiver digitally signed by your golfers in a convenient manner. When someone comes back a second time, there's audit populated on the platform. So let's talk to a real operator, Scott. Let's bring in Tom. Tom, welcome to our webinar. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Tom, tell our listeners a little bit, first of all, about where you are, your club, and your background a little bit.
Yeah, thanks, James and Scott. Thanks for having me on. So Morgan Creek Golf Course is 30 years old. It's had the same owners pretty much since the start. We are technically a semi-private facility with currently about 65 members. We have a loyalty program of close to 1,500 people, just over 1,400, I guess. So roughly it's about a 50-50 split of our loyalty program members and our public golfers. We are a residential development with 7 crossings where you're crossing roads, lots of homes. There's a school in the area, so there's kids walking to and from school. And we're a busy facility. Even though we're semi-private, I would consider us public, with over 50,000 rounds in 2025, and a thriving business. Our ownership group, which has, as I mentioned, owned the golf course pretty much since the beginning. Their history is they've owned many businesses, including a ski hill a couple hours north of here called Whistler. They owned it, a portion of it, for a number of years. I think anybody who's been skiing knows the liability risks there. And so they have a very strong background in understanding liability and forms. And we have the benefit of, in our head office, which is just on the 17th tee, of having in-house counsel right there. And so played a big part in our waivers. We've traditionally, James, up until last year, as you know, but just to share with everybody, we were pretty consistent with our our paper waiver forms. I think you mentioned some of the challenges that have. We wouldn't capture all the information. Maybe it wasn't legible, couldn't read the name or the phone number. The date wasn't written on it. Some people, we'd get most people to fill it out, but there's always those few that wouldn't fill it out. And so the eGolf waiver was a big transition, an easy transition, but a big change for us in, as you mentioned, keeping people accountable. It's a different kind of, it's more important when they're filling that out. Oh, you've got a new system here and it must be serious. So, yeah.
Tom, obviously when we talk to people about, first of all, are you doing waivers? Yes, we're doing paper waivers, or no, we don't do waivers. And we will say, okay, well, tell us about why you don't do waivers. And sometimes the feedback will be, we don't have time. The shop staff is too busy at the counter, and we certainly don't have time. And number two sometimes is, we don't want the customer to freak out and, why are they signing a waiver? And what was your experience in, you obviously had paper waivers before a little bit, but what was your experience in going digital, I guess? Was there some struggles, some challenges, some adoption? What are the customer what kind of feedback have you had from your customer?
Well, anybody in operations is always excited about change, right? So, yeah, whenever we change a procedure or a system, there's some apprehension. How are the staff going to react to it? How are the customers going to react to it? We, first off, the staff, once they got up to it after they were trained, thanks to Scott's excellent training, they embraced it. In fact, I didn't even have to approach them. I think I was away that week.
You were,
so
yeah.
I came back. Yeah, I came back, and I had 2 staff come to me within the first day or 2 that I was back, going, "Hey, this eGolf waiver system was really easy, and it's awesome." And that never happens when you change a system or an operation system. So I was kind of like, I think I sent you an email right away going, "Can you believe this?" As for customers,
you have it at the counter, right?
Yeah, we got 2 tablets because we are busy.
Right.
As I mentioned, 50,000 rounds. And we've had the system for about a year, and we're gradually increasing the volume that we put through it. I'll get into that later, but so we have 2 tablets at the counter, 1 at each till. And the customers, what's this? This is new. I've never done this before. You just explain it's the same thing as a paper waiver. You put your information in one time. So your name, phone number, email address, which we were not getting their email address before. And then and then a signature at the bottom after they go through the waiver. It digitizes that. So the next time they come out, all they're putting in is their phone number. As long as they use the same phone number, then all the fields fill in automatically, and they just need to give a signature at the bottom. So it becomes a very easy step. And so once the customers understood that, which was really quick, it became a piece of cake. We actually had customers that were slipping through the cracks on the paper waiver form, that because it was a new system, we forced them to come in, go through it. What is this? This is ridiculous. They did it once. Now it's not a problem. And so we're getting probably very close to 100% of those that are renting a product from us. And we use it for carts. We use it for our rental clubs. And then we have tempo walks. They're robot caddies that we rent out as well. And so for all 3 of those items, people are filling out waiver forms.
And I mean, one of the things that I love about the platform is that you can literally see on your screen, Tom, in your office, you can pull up the back end of the platform and see that on Tuesdays we're capturing 100% of rounds, and on Wednesdays we're capturing 60% of rounds, and go talk to whoever's working on Wednesday and say, hey, Bill, how come we're not getting everybody? And can I assume also that you've added to your database? You've now got more golfer emails, and if you include in your waiver platform, in your digital waiver, by the way, we use Morgan Creek as a best practice because they have one of the most unbelievable waivers we've ever seen that your legal team put together, Tom. But you can add to your database from a marketing standpoint.
Yeah, for sure. And then we're using that. You're probably going to ask me the question later. What's the future hold for us for eGolf? But we're using that to communicate to our customers, add it to our database, whether it be for e-marketing, adding it to our point of sale system. It's crucial. It's still, the emails are still really important to us, and reaching out to our customers and letting them know our programs and keeps the business running down the road.
So you talk about the future, Tom, and you've got a great story. And we get this often when we're talking to people about why should I get everyone to sign a waiver? And obviously it's great when someone breaks a GPS screen and it's a $4,000 bill, and you've got the ability to say that is that group at that time. And we know the screen wasn't broken before you took the golf cart out, Mr. and Mrs. Jones. So, someone's going to pay here. But when it comes to incidents, Tom, I mean, talk about your experience with regards to being in that community and how waivers can protect you.
Yeah. So a number of years ago, again, we're a community where there's approximately 600-700 homes around. So we're a neighbor. And a number of years ago, we had a woman approach us, and she'd lost her dog somewhere on the property. The dog had run away, and it was just before Christmas time, so it was cold. The golf course was actually closed with snow on it. It was in that melt freeze stage, and she reached out to us and said, she asked for permission to come on the property. Can I go on the golf course and look for the dog? Because we have signs around the golf course, the typical private property, danger, golf balls, whatnot, at every entrance point. And so, being the good neighbor that we are, at the spur of the moment, we said, yeah, absolutely. Go on out and we'll do what we can. We even we had her put a couple of dishes outside the golf shop with water and food in case the dog showed up. A few days later, I got a call. I think it was like the 23rd of December. So I'm already in Christmas mode. And Tom, you better get here. And I come out, and this woman has slipped and fallen just meters from the clubhouse on the path on an icy patch. It wasn't black ice. It was like, anyways, it was obviously slippery snow, compact snow, icy situation. She had definitely broken her ankle. And the ambulance was already there when I got there, and they were packing her up. And I remember to this day her saying, "Tom, I appreciate you helping. You guys have been so good to us. Don't worry about me." And she said the words, "I'm not going to sue you." And of course, that gives me a little bit of comfort, and I was compassionate to the situation. And then I just, we documented in our report as we normally do. It gets filed away. And 2 years later, we get a letter. Our head office gets a letter from a lawyer about participating in a deposition about this incident. So we pull out the report. It's 2 years. We have to remind ourselves. And of course, we all react. Really? We're being good people here. So anyways, she sued us, and I don't know what the final settlement was, but it was a significant amount of money from our insurer. That affects our business in that it affects our premiums. I think we've changed insurers since then. And so in hindsight, speaking to our in-house counsel, what can we do differently? Have them sign a waiver, even though they're not a golfing customer, even though they're entering the property and you gave them permission, have them sign a waiver. The fact that the snow, the compact snow and ice was obvious. It wasn't hidden. It was right in front of her. It was daylight. She not only did she break her ankle, I'm assuming she probably did some damage to her hip, which probably wasn't obvious at the time. And so years later, she had some ongoing issues.
Sure.
And so now, if somebody comes out and wants to look for their dog, sure, not a problem. Here's a tablet. Please understand the risks. We would never do that when the golf course is busy because there's added risks to that. But we need to still be a good neighbor because we're part of this community. So the e-golf waiver helps protect us from that situation.
Yeah, that's great, Tom. Really appreciate that feedback. And I know we were talking offline a minute ago about a wedding guest suing their own family. The reality, ladies and gentlemen, is that we've transitioned into a litigious world, especially post-COVID, where there's opportunities for people to get money from insurance companies that may or may not ever get in front of a judge. As I said, that's not the point. The point is that there can be frivolous claims, and also there can be real claims. Like, let's not kid ourselves. We're not just talking about those cases where someone is trying to get something. There's also real incidents that happen, and if you're in the golf business long enough, someone will flip a golf cart. I mean, we've seen it on YouTube. We see what's going on with this younger generation of golfers that don't maybe have the experience of understanding. I mean, for goodness sakes, the other day, I played golf last summer. The first time ever in my life I've had a donut in a golf cart. I was driving down a hill. It was wet. It was dewy. I touched the brake on a golf cart I'd never been in before, and whoa, there was a 360. Can you imagine if that had flipped over? And I was doing nothing wrong, no speeding, nothing wrong whatsoever. But things can happen on a golf course. So to finish off, we wanted to say it's 30 minutes. We'd love to kind of have a chance. If anybody has any questions, please type them in the chat. But we're coming to the end of our time. Send Scott and I an email if you've got any inquiries about what is going on in this day and age about waivers. Hopefully you're doing them. Hopefully, I always suggest to someone, reach out to your insurance company, reach out to your whomever the lawyer is that you may or may not use at your facility, and ask them, would there be some upside and value and benefit if we had waivers? And then next is, if the answer is yes, we'd love you to show you how technology can make that process simple and streamlined and efficient and give you a whole bunch of information and data that you can't currently get current-wise. So, Tom, thank you so much for sharing your experience at Morgan Creek. Obviously, if anybody wants to reach out to Tom, he'll probably also give you some more feedback about his experience. Scott, anything to add before we kind of come to the end about our process here?
No, I think just, the recap is that, as you said a minute ago, James, like things can happen, right? And they can be real incidents. There can be frivolous things that get brought back to us. Obviously, as Tom said, things can happen with non-golfers. Of course, they can happen with golfers too. And, the purpose of the waiver is it's the tool to educate our golfers, our members and our guests about the inherent dangers associated with the sport. And we have a responsibility and a duty as operators to do that. And when we do a really good job of that, using a tool like a waiver, it can definitely affect the outcome, when those matters proceed, into a legal, setting. So as you said, James, it's about, if you get to the point where you think using a waiver in your business is important, like Morgan Creek has for a long time, we believe that using some really great technology to deliver those waivers and get them signed is the way to go. So we'd love to chat with anybody who's interested in learning more, and some great member benefits there for NGCOA Canada members to take advantage of the program.
And for anyone that's wondering about the cost, I always say, well, it's pennies a day, or it's the cost of a lawyer for about 4 hours. So, we have a special price for NGCOA members with a discount. Price is not an obstacle, ladies and gentlemen. It really, even some insurance companies will support the effort from a premium standpoint. So it's definitely, don't let price consider to be a barrier, because when you need it, it will pay for itself 10 times over. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for those that joined us and for watching. Tom, thank you for being on our webinar today. And once again, reach out if you'd like to learn more. But thank you so much for your time, and we wish you a fantastic 2026 season.